Mama come from Lucky Black Media. Abusia for Adum Ochre na wane eye Dennis Miracle Aboagye kasamafo e de ma Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. Na abusia mo twetwe nkomo e de fa eye John Dramani Mahama Franketufo de ma NDC amanyoku no. Na nkomo twetwe nmu na for Adum Ochre ebusa eye Dennis Miracle Aboagye se eye book nsensem Agyapade book yi a eho aba nsem a ye twene dare ene aboso yi. Aya opinion friends John Dramani Mahama abeka bibi kakra de afa ho ewo fa MPP ho ni nsusuye ne pobia mabo ewo abatoyi mu ana Dennis Miracle Aboagye ka se dabi ni NDC for Kenya no entesa yentropa propaganda sene ka no potoka semu no nimu ba akuse kurampo no Miracle Aboagye no wa na anwene da sesebi former president or penini sebi wanyini te se John Dramani Mahama wo be kanse mu hunu ne nsempoto yesi e de afa MPP amanyuku no ho emre bi atwa mu wo mfimpim ye mienu ni mu no aha eba 90s mfie apem ahankron aduokron emu honom 1990s eba 2000 mu honom omo de bi ye president Koffour wa bra na obepre ye president no same thing mo twere book bi a friend said the Great Ashantis na sa the Great Ashantis no eno mo keka nsem bebre se Koffour eba na ba oba no obeyi capital town of free nkran pomponi mantem de abekumas because wa ya santeni ba oba no obepamo eye zongofuo nyina de free eye omanga na mu ene kumase na odomako akogu eye bokina na nasefo na abusia enkomo ne nsem a Dennis Miracle Aboagye kan no na emu orem mepeso obeje mre na wode mra Miracles
is something that the NDC have been latching on and publishing. The idea is that there's something called state capture. And Nana Akufo-Addo and his henchmen, even before he became president, had planned that they will rip the nation off, capture the state, own the state's assets, and exit power. And according to the NDC, this book is being played according to plan. Initially, people thought it was a propaganda message, but once President Mahama comments on it, then it looks like it's a main part of the NDC's campaign agenda. What is the story?
I really wish I had a lot of time, but I'll squeeze it in. So, I mean, like you already said, we are discussing it this evening, and I am even talking about it this evening because former President Mahama has commented on it. Never in my life did I imagine that we would have a former president be part of such a grand scheme, such wickedness, such orchestration, such deliberate destruction of the state. Never did I imagine that. And so immediately he got involved. I said, no, we have to talk about this and expose these people and their wickedness. First of all, this is the NDC's modus operandi. It hasn't changed. The same strategy. They did it to President Koffour. In fact, before President Koffour became president, in the 90s, you remember the Great Ashanti project? They wrote a book. They wrote a book about President Koffour and how the Ashantis intend to move the capital of Ghana from Accra to Kumasi.
I remember that.
They wrote a book about how President Koffour and the Ashantis had planned to sack all Zongos from Ghana and send them away. They wrote a book about how President Koffour and the Ashantis planned to move the sea from the Nshona and take it to Ashanti region. So that is what they did in the 2000 elections. In 2004, you remember Gizeyazi?
Yes.
And how they painted Koffour as an immoral man, having extramarital affairs and having out of marriage kids, the twins, Paul and Peter or John and Paul, that we are yet to see. You remember how they bastardized Koffour and called him a thief, that he stolen money to buy hotel Wawa. Right. You remember?
Yes.
So that was 2004 election. Then in the year 2008, when President Koffour was now exiting, they changed the Great Ashanti project book and made it the Achim Mafia plan in the year 2008. And so everything they said about Koffour did not happen when Koffour became president.
Coming from 2008?
Yes.
When Akufo-Addo didn't win?
Absolutely. That is when it started. So in 2008, they brought all the allegations they placed on President Koffour to Akufo-Addo and said that Akufo-Addo is going to move the capital from Accra to Chebi. He's going to move the sea from Accra to Chebi. He's going to turn Ghana into an Achim thing. And they tried to set the Achim people against the Ashantis. That's what they did. Then Akufo-Addo didn't win. Fast forward, we come to 2012 to 2016, the same game plan. And so if you look at the NDC and each of the elections, you realize that in every elections, they fail and deliberately try to move away from issues, but rather orchestrates propaganda against their opponents. That's what they always do. This is 2024 elections. In the year 2020 and before 2020 elections, they had sold the idea of an Achim mafia and the Chebi agenda and the Koffour doing all the things they accused Koffour of before Koffour came to power. So on 14th January 2017, 7 days after Koffour was sworn in, the NDC released a book, 13-page book, named the Achim Mafia Plan. It was first posted by an NDC gentleman called Andy something on Facebook. Now, what they did was that they printed copies of this book and distributed it all over this country. I mean, this is a gentleman from Insura FM, Eugene Osetutu, who says that I first came across this book in 2017 on Moose Campus. I have a hard copy document, and that is the Agyapade book or document. Is it real or fake? Now, this 2017 book, they called it the Achim Mafia Plan. When they got to the year 2020, they realized that none of the things they had written in that book, because in that book, predominantly the issues in there were Accra will be moved to Chebi, capital will be moved to Chebi, the sea will be moved to Chebi, and all of those things. So they realized that that book didn't really fly. Then, somewhere in June 2020, they decided to compile all the incidences, events, and activities that have happened between the year 2017 when Nana Danko Koffour came to power and 2020, and they put it into a book. Now, the first copy of this Agyapade book was put out in November 2020. And when you read Agyapade, I hear people say, and in fact, I've heard the former president himself say that, oh, everything in the book is
being implemented.
So,
yeah, that's what I was coming
So let's put that conversation to rest. And that's the number one objective for this evening's conversation. For the record, the Agyapade book was not written before Nana Addo came to power. The Agyapade book was written in the year 2020. And when you read the book, Paul, even if you give it to a 10-year-old to read the book, all the evidence are there. That book is a compilation of online portal stories, news stories, events and activities that happened in the first term, and people's articles that they wrote
But
online.
like what? Like what?
I mean, when did we have the Minerals Income Investment Fund come up with the Agyapade project?
2020.
Exactly.
About that.
And you recall that when MEF introduced Agyapade, what the NDC did was to position the Agyapade project as an Achim agenda to take over our mineral resources.
Yes.
So now we need to write a book. What do we do with that book? Let's label the book an Agyapade to validate that propaganda we put out there about the Agyapade project. When did the banking sector cleanup come?
17, 18.
Exactly. So how could anybody have written about banking cleanup before 2017? To the extent that when you read a strategy document, which is supposed to be speaking about we will, it states categorically that Ghana Amalgamated Trust received 800 million. You know why? Because they picked a Bank of Ghana report released on March 13, 2019, and put it verbatim into the report.
But their document, their narrative was suggesting that this is a plan that is yet to happen.
Absolutely, but that's what every Ghanaian have been
That is yet to happen,
yes,
or that has happened.
That is a plan, that is a blueprint. The narrative they've put around the Agyapade is a blueprint document that Nana Addo Koffour is implementing.